Cricket is like any other science. Let me explain. First, you have Bradman, an irremovable object. Then, there was Larwood, an irresistible force. Now, it's a very simple rule of dynamics that when an irresistible force meets an irremovable object, well, something's apt to happen. But it was all much ado about nothing. For to echo the words of one far greater than I, the only thing they had to fear was fear itself.
Speaking as a working journalist, I've a very good reason for remembering 1933. It wasn't that it was such an exciting year, at home anyway. I did a series of interviews to fill in. G K Chesterton was one, I remember. Odd days I popped down to Brooklands to cover the racing. It was hard to tell which were the louder, the cars or the clothes. Then an election came up. Sounds dull, I know, but you see, this was an Irish one. But that's not what sticks in my mind. No. I'll tell you. I was down at Cowes covering the big yachts. The Shamrock, the Endeavour, you know the stuff. All very nice and quiet. And then it broke. Something had reared its ugly head. It's a wonderful story, the news editor said. I can't see it, I said. You don't have to, he said. Well, I did my best. That's no good, he said. Seen what the opposition's got? All right, so I went and looked again. But I still couldn't see it. Charlie saw it every night and he never left the bar. After that, thank heavens, it died down. I had other things to cope with. But do you know, no sooner was my back turned than... From then on, it never looked back. When it got to that level, that was the end for me. I had to take measures to protect myself. And do you know what? In the end, I saw it in a Scotch mist.
Why don't you cure the blues with a cruise? £12 for 12 days. 12 long, exotic days under romantic skies. Why go with you and get away from it all? Luxury ships equipped to suit every pocket, every taste, and every whim. Swimming, dancing, deck games, and with all, beautiful scenery.
Germany at last. I'm so glad I decided on it. It was worth all the cheese paring last term. I'm making up for it now. My dear, I'm living in luxury. The Rhine Gold Express, strawberries and cream, even champagne. And the scenery. I've talked about it often enough in class, but I hardly believed it really existed. the mountains where Siegfried killed the dragon, castles perched like eagles, and the Lorelei. Remember Upper Third singing it ad nauseum? Well, I've actually seen it. Germany is the loveliest country you could wish for. Please don't think I'm just being the tourist. I'm taking good care to see the other Germany too. You know, the real one. And that can teach us a few lessons. You never saw such organization. When I think how we have to fight for an extra netball. Yes, everything's properly organized here, and the result is a real atmosphere of purpose. It's all most stimulating and refreshing. Everybody buckling to and pulling together, and absolutely no unemployment. It's quite clear that Germany's found her feet and is really going places.
Concerned not merely with the technical problem of securing and maintaining peace, but also with the important task of education and enlightenment. Without such freedom, there would have been no Shakespeare, no Goethe, no Newton, no Faraday, no Pasteur, and no Lister.
No Shakespeare, no Pasteur, no Goethe. Those made sensitive by history were the first, as always, to feel the threat to the heritage of tolerance passed on by men like these. But in the long and somber history of the world, by some timeless mechanism in the affairs of men, forces always meet their equal. The balance is restored, and good men too find themselves on the thrones of the mighty. America had endured, but was reviving. Vast new government schemes were underway. NRA, WPA, TVA. To many millions, such mundane groups of letters spelled one word: hope. The cards had long been stacked against them. This was the New Deal.
I remember that year, a few buddies of mine were busy on a job that was kind of unusual, to say the least. They were carving out presidents' heads on the side of a mountain. Yeah, it was a kind of memorial to the group. They did Washington, Lincoln, all the ones in the history books. It's only now that it occurs to me that didn't they leave one out?
In looking back on past events, a pattern forms. Great men loom large. But at the time, they were but shadows moving on a distant screen. The memory of some survives. Others strut and fret their hour upon the stage, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Well, that was nice. Where do we go now?
Look, dear, we're only here for one night. We can't see everything. Let's have a look what's on. Dirt track racing. Well, you don't have to come to London to see that. Here, there's boxing. You wouldn't like boxing, would you? No. Circus, then? Ah, we saw that at Blackpool. Dancing at Palais. All right, I know you've been walking all day. So have I. Well, what about going to the pictures again? There's plenty to choose from. You always liked him. Oh, what about this one? Well, you can rest your feet and watch the organ change colour.
It must be love that has made Marcus so lenient of Christian.
Yes. I do love her. This one Christian life will make our Marcus happy.
Is Nero justice in the Roman world, or merely a puppet emperor?
Poppea is right, Marcus. I'm afraid it's impossible.
I have obeyed and honored you. I have risked my life in your service. And all that I shall ever ask for it, a small thing to you, is that you give me the life of this one girl whom I love, Caesar, with my whole heart. I plead with you to spare her.
No, Marcus. We do not want barbarians laughing at Roman justice.
Come and meet those dancing feet. On the avenue, I'm taking you to 42nd Street. Hear the beat of dancing feet. It's the song I love, the melody of 42nd Street.
That's your light chain.
All right, girls, come on, snap into it. Hurry up, come on, kids. Get going. All right, take it away.
I'll go home and pack my panties. You go home and get your scanties, and away we'll go. Off we're going to shuffle, shuffle off to Buffalo.
To Niagara in a sleeper, there's no honeymoon that's cheaper, and the train goes slow.
Ooh.
Off we're gonna shuffle, shuffle off to Buffalo.
There's no delicacy nowadays. No consideration for others. Refinement's a thing of the past. Mirrors are dead. Oh.
Look, I wish you'd make up your mind. Okay, let's have a theatre then. Anything, as long as it's lively. Now look at that. That's the trouble with London. By the time you've made up your mind, they've all started.
Women! Women! I wish there weren't any women.
If there weren't any women, who'd mend your clothes?
If there weren't any women, I wouldn't wear any clothes.
My caveman!
Oh, please, please, now don't do that.
Not tonight, Josephine.
It is 14 years since we were wed. I remember the day. You are not listening, Napoleon.
Hello? Yes? Yes, this is Tommy Hanley speaking.
Well, have you got a piece of paper and a pencil? I mean, a piece of paper and have you got a pen? Good, all right. Well, let's go then.
The man you get alone with, and you hope there'll be some rockets. You vamp him till his eyes are simply leaping from their sockets. And still the silly blighter keeps his hands inside his pockets. Who wants a man like that?
You know, but what should we play for? I'll play you for £1. £1? That's no good to me, £1. That's only a tip for the marker. I'll play you for £10. Your shot, is it?
12, 14, 16, 18, 20.
Look out!
A year is like a day. It has its morning, noon, and night. As 1933 approached its close, the sun had passed its zenith. The shadows grew and lengthened into evening. The cloud, no bigger than one man's hand, had reached a new dimension. A blackness caused by many hands held rigid to the skies. The sun had set, but in the cities of a changing world, in London, Berlin, and Manhattan, the lights had not yet given way to darkness. The curtains fall on yet another year, another glimpse of people with their dreams and idle fancies. We look for yesterday, and having found it, we see ourselves. But in our viewing, we can also see that there indeed lay reason for the present, and as always, vision for the future.